Hey everybody, I've got a copy of the Hyperx Pulsefire Haste 2 Mini. I don't know if a lot of people even realized that this thing launched. It kind of went under the radar, but I did buy a copy and I have it here. So I'm just going to do a quick unboxing, play with it a little bit, and talk about my initial impressions. I have already opened the box, but I haven't really dug through the actual full contents. But I can say that in the hand, the mouse already feels significantly smaller than the OG Haste. The actual material on the shell itself feels pretty good. It has a little bit of a texture to it, particularly on mouse 1 and mouse 2. And so far, the coating feels pretty good. You can see it does come with the skate film, and they've made it very abundantly clear for anybody buying the mouse that you, yes, need to remove the blue film. You can see you've got the dongle storage there, and it looks like it goes Bluetooth as well as 2.4 wireless. Overall, the weight, it's advertised on the box at 59 grams. It feels so far pretty weight balanced. Getting to the additional contents, looks like you've just got the dongle there as well as the cable. I don't think there's any additional skates in the box, but let's see if there's anything in this card. Oh yeah, it looks like you actually do get some grips and yeah, extra skates. Okay, so I have about 10 hours of gameplay on the Haste 2 Mini, a little bit longer than I actually wanted to put in for just an initial impressions video, but I do have a lot to say because there's just a lot that I don't like about the Haste 2 Mini. I do think that if you're looking for a smaller version of the Haste 2, again, they nailed it. They shrunk this thing down. It kind of copies and carries over a lot of the characteristics in the original shape in just a much smaller form factor. I think if you have small hands, you might absolutely love this mouse and have a completely different opinion than me. For me, the first thing I have to talk about is the weight. Again, initially, it did feel very well weight balanced, and I do think that it's pretty well weight balanced, but the problem is because the form factor is so small and the mouse is smaller than the Beast X, the regular version of the Beast X, I have to say that 59 grams is just a lot of weight in this small of a form factor. It makes it feel a lot heavier than it actually is. You feel that 59 grams as you're whipping it around, and it's just not as pleasant as that same weight in a larger form factor like the Pulsar X2 HES or even the X-Lite. We're talking, 65 grams in the X-Lite V3 versus 60 grams essentially in the Hyperx Haste 2 Mini, and it just causes for more of an awareness of that weight being whipped around. For me, the size of the mouse is just too small. For the way that I want to grip the mouse, which is a relaxed fingertip, it causes my index finger, my middle finger, as well as my ring finger. You can just see how much length I have hanging off of the mouse itself. It causes for a click experience that just doesn't feel as good as it was if I was hitting the click dead on. And it just causes for a grip that just doesn't feel that right. So for me, the size of the mouse makes me go for a more aggressive fingertip. And with that aggressive fingertip, again, that 60 grams in this small of a form factor just feels like a lot being whipped around. It doesn't feel to me as good as something like the ULX, which of course is much more expensive, or the Beast X. I get just a more efficient grip. I get more of an efficient playing experience on those mice over the Hyperx Haste 2 Mini. For me, the coating out of the box did feel pretty good because of that texture, but as you're playing, it just begins to feel kind of like a PBT keycap, and the moisture accumulation on mouse 1, mouse 2, as well as the side of the mouse, just turned into a very swampy experience. I don't feel that whatever coating is on the mouse, if there is one, separate and apart from the texture over the mouse, it definitely doesn't do a good job at keeping moisture away like we saw with the Zowie U2 and the Pulsar X2 HES. It's just not a very good coating for very humid climates. I do think that the clicks, for me, felt okay. Every once in a while, you will feel a little bit of movement on mouse 1 and mouse 2 in game. It wasn't anything that affected my gameplay, but the clicks, they feel okay. There's a little bit of inconsistency, which is just normal variance between mouse 1 and mouse 2. They feel ever so slightly different. Mouse 2 feeling a little bit looser. Again, that's just normal variance. The scroll wheel does feel pretty good. I didn't have any complaints with mouse 3. Mouse 3 spamming it does feel a little dense, a little tight, but other than that, it's okay. The way that I want to grip the mouse with more of a relaxed fingertip, Getting over to the scroll wheel does feel a little bit awkward, but if I'm to have more of an aggressive fingertip grip, it feels okay. It's more in line with my normal transition of my index finger. The side buttons are matte. The side buttons felt decent. I feel like the size, they look small, but they don't feel that bad moving my thumb over mouse 4 and mouse 5. But there is a lot of post travel as well as button wiggle on mouse 4 and mouse 5. It's not bad. It's not something that affected my use of those buttons in game, but definitely something that I would point out. In terms of the default skates, I'd say they're okay. They're more on the controlled side than the speed side. You can always, of course, rip those off and get right into some PTFE dots or replacement skates, whatever you have. But the default skates are just okay. It's one of those, very basic experiences. For me, I would definitely upgrade them to something a little bit faster so that the weight doesn't feel kind of as condensed and just like a meaty small mouse is really what it feels like. That is a little bit on the slower side. In terms of the DPI and DPI deviation, 800 DPI to me feels a little bit fast, but that could just be me going a little bit crazy. I would just say, DPI deviation, it really doesn't matter that much. You just have to really be conscious of your sensitivity. Move it down if you need to. If you're somebody who doesn't like to change your sensitivity, I get the DPI deviation being somewhat of an issue. I'll just mention that 800 DPI to me felt a little fast compared to other mice. Getting to the internals of the mouse, you can see it is using the Hyperx switches there, rated for 100 mil clicks. The side buttons seem like Kale microdots. The battery is a 370 mAh. And then you can see the PCB there, which is the sensor is probably a modified PixArt sensor in some way, shape, or form. Advertised as the HyperX 26K DPI sensor. And guys, despite my large hands, I can play pretty well on a lot of small mice. I love the Cape Town, I love the Beast X, but I know right now that the HyperX is just not going to be something that I am going to be playing well on. My play experience was very obviously something that I just don't play at my normal factor. For me, it's probably not something I'm going to continue to review. It might be best for you guys to focus on reviews from people with much smaller hands. For me, for large hands, from my perspective, it's just not something that works. So guys, that's going to be it for this one. I might circle back and do a full-blown review, but right now it's just something I know that doesn't work for me. So I don't know if I'm really going to pump a lot more time into the HyperX Haste 2 Mini. So guys, that's going to be it for this one. I hope it helped. If it did, please leave a sub to the channel. I appreciate it. I appreciate you. And I'll see you in the next one. Peace.